So I think we can then begin this seminar on launch of the Youth Hub. We've got about 80 people now out of the 250 participants who'd said would be with us. So I suppose they'll be coming in little by little. So hello, everybody. We are very honored to be able to open this webinar and to officially announce the launch of the GSEF Youth Hub. It's the fruit of over a year's work with all the members of the GSEF and notably with the continental co-presidents of the Youth Hub, who will all be speaking today during this webinar. So we'll be going back over the history and the stages that have led to the creation of this Youth Hub in the GSEF since 2013. And we will give you the opportunity to express yourselves. As you can see on the screen, sorry, there are lots of things going around at the moment, but as you can see on this screen, this webinar of 1 hour 30 will be broken down into 3 main stages. First, a presentation in the plenary session that will last about 45 minutes. Then you will break out in continental rooms. We will explain that later on, exactly how that works. And then afterwards, we're coming back to the plenary session for the last 15 minutes to close the webinar. So these 3 stages during this hour and a half. And we'll now look at the objectives of the webinar. These are today's objectives, in fact. So obviously we want that this webinar should serve as a source of information for launching this youth hub throughout the world on continental and international level. We'll present the existing dynamics and notably the conclusion of the previous international GSEF forums that have been held since 2013. We will also be opening up the dynamic to all of the youth networks which are already working in this theme or are interested in working in this theme in order to promote the citizens' engagement, professional commitment of youth towards driving the cause of SSE. We will promote the interpenetration of knowledge on a continental and international level to reinforce cooperation and to promote projects for advocacy that are common. Somebody's got their mic open. And the last objective is to build continental acts of advocacy to be able to mobilize youth in the wide sense for the World Forum in Bordeaux, which will be in 2025. So the principal objective then is to launch the GSEF Youth Hub and to structure a whole youth movement which will create a number of advocacy acts generally in order to drive the cause of SSE forward amongst the youth. And so without further ado, we're going to hand over now to the 2 co-presidents of the GSEF, that's Stéphane Pfeiffer and Marie-Laure Cuvelier. So Stéphane, you have the floor, Stéphane. He is Deputy Mayor of Bordeaux in charge of SSE, and he is the co-president of the GSEF since October 2021. Hello, everybody. I'm Stéphane Pfeiffer then, and I'm Deputy Mayor of Bordeaux as in charge of SSE, and I'm representing Pierre Urmic, who's the Mayor of Bordeaux, and Stéphane Montuzet, who is in charge of the regional network for SSE in Nouvelle-Aquitaine. I'm 33 years of age, so I'm still a sort of a youngster, so to speak, and I'm very, very happy to be able to participate in the exchange for many, many reasons. And first and foremost, I've been committed to the cause of SSE for over 10 years now, not only as an elected representative, but in associations. I was in 2015, 2016, I was a member of a cooperative of young people's networks, and I understood what the issues were regarding. I saw a lot of initiatives that ought to have been taken in the United Kingdom, in Eastern Europe, and it's interesting to see what one country learn from another, what one group of young people can learn from another, and that's really the first and foremost reason why I am here today. And secondly, the GSEF is an international network whose objective is to organize a forum every 2 years. The last was in Dakar, and a lot of Senegalese representatives are with us today. And so that was in May 2023. And the resolution that was taken in Dakar, there was a request which was made together with Fabrice to create this youth hub, and now it's in its concrete form today that we are creating it today, and I think it's a great reason for we should be meeting today. And the final reason is maybe more political. I think everybody agrees that young people are the future of the world by definition, but the SSE is our future, everybody's future. And it's no longer possible to construct a world which is not based on the principles of SSE. That's to say, sharing, helping each other. And we can't have a world which is simply based on profits and destroying the planet, destroying resources. And I think that so what we're trying to construct today will be a much more enduring, lasting future, and where we can bring everybody together. And a French rock group said, I'll just simplify it, that they said that young people, they just cock a snook to the fascists. And that's really a nice way of saying it. In fact, the forms of extremism, whatever they are, tend to exclude people. They exclude people from society. And what we are trying to create is a society where young people have pride of place, and we must. And I think it's very, very important that we should be moving towards that sort of pacific, all-embracing society. And I think young people have such a strong, pertinent role to play in today's and future's world. And now that we can all obviously have come together to launch this youth hub. And without further ado, I'll hand over to Marie-Laure Cuvelier, who represents the regional government for SSE in the regional government. And thank you for these introductory words. I'm no longer a young person, technically speaking. Nevertheless, I would like to speak and promote the cause of young people in the region. And I absolutely agree that the launch of this youth hub is very, very important. And it's fantastic to see how many people are with us today. And as co-president of the GSEF, the regional government has as a candidate to be an animator of this youth hub, because it covers so many people. So many people are youth in the lycées, the grammar schools, and of course, and the regional government. We certainly in France, we have the competence to intervene in schools and to attract the young people towards pertinent activities. And we also have the young people's regional government in France, and with this regional government, we are at the moment establishing and finalizing a budget. There are funds earmarked for these activities, and we can see that SSE is very much to the fore in the preoccupations of young people. And so we have entrusted these young people in the young people's regional government to manage this budget in order to drive the cause of SSE forward for young people. So we have a number of cooperatives, cultural associations, and all of the stakeholders in these areas are coming on board, and we can see that we all share common stakes here. And it's an opportunity to hear the preoccupations of young people and to give them pride of place and give them the chance to take the floor in order that they can transform today's and tomorrow's future. So, given with the October World Forum coming up in Bordeaux in October 2025, all these activities are absolutely central to us in our area, and obviously we would like to be able to promote and assist in any way we can. So if SSE is to be able to break barriers down, it has to be, the message has to be transmitted far and wide, and we have to all take inspiration from each other's initiatives. So we're here today to do that. Thank you for your commitment to the cause. Thanks to all your contributions that you would like to make SSE project that is not only for young people, but is conducted with young people. Thank you, Stefan and Marie-Laure, for these motivating words. So we'll have a general introduction and then leave things to the co-presidents for the youth hubs in the continents. So just a little background here. If you can see this, in fact, we can see the declarations declarations that are made in the forums of the GSEF, and a first declaration in Seoul, and then the one in Mexico, and the call in Dakar.
Qui a été ce pré-forum de la jeunesse porté notamment par le consortium Jeunesse Sénégal, qui j'espère est connecté aujourd'hui, a porté haut et fort cette dynamique de la jeunesse et la volonté et a demandé vraiment aux autorités, aux leaders politiques de faire confiance à la jeunesse pour participer, pour être moteur dans le développement inclusif des territoires. Et donc, c'est grâce aussi à ce dernier appel de la jeunesse qu'on a voulu vraiment, et que le GSEF, ses copilotes, ont voulu répondre présent et pouvoir soutenir cette dynamique jeunesse qui est partout présente dans les territoires. Donc, encore une fois, le GSEF et le pôle jeunesse visent à structurer des dynamiques existantes, des réseaux de la jeunesse, et de mutualiser une nouvelle fois les forces en présence pour porter haut et fort le rôle de la jeunesse.
So after the 4 declarations, we can see on the screen the roadmap, and we have the 4 co-pilots, INAES for Latin America and the Caribbean, the platform of youth organizations of Tout le Pleu for the Africa region, New Aquitaine for the Youth Hub for Europe, and the youth wing of the social economy for North America. After that, we will also be joined by the Youth Hub of Korea, and you will have a video a little bit later which will be presenting the action being organized by the youth networks over there in Korea. So the objectives are that the co-pilots and the General Secretariat have been working on an overall roadmap, a global roadmap for the Youth Hub. which is organized around three key focuses: advocacy, awareness raising, and support. So making young people more aware of the challenges and values of the SSE to reinforce, to build a community. The second focus is to conduct advocacy at national, local, and international level on the role of young people as a target and also as stakeholders, and to act in advocacy. And the third focus is to provide support to build a platform to exchange good practices on support for youth entrepreneurship, youth cooperatives, and support for young people in creating decent work. And as you see, this is the summary of the roadmap. And so we're going to hand over now to the continental pilots. And we're still on time, and we're going to begin by Berenice, who is going to present the initiatives in Latin America and the Caribbean. Thank you, Berenice. And once again, I will be speaking Spanish, so you have the interpreting. So I'm going to share my screen now. So first of all, I would like to thank you, and we laud this initiative to create this youth hub and this worldwide network, because if there is one thing that really is important today, it is to mobilize young people in the social and solidarity economy. As we have already said, we are the co-presidents, and this is something which we feel very strongly about. So very quickly, I'm going to give you a quick overview. In Latin America, there are 162 million young people between the ages of 15 and 24. So this network also covers up to 35 years, but in any case, that age group represents about 25% of the total population. One of the key characteristics of our region is also informal work. It's a key challenge for us, which affects us considerably, as we can see also on other continents, like in Africa. Being unemployed is difficult. There's no form of financing to help people to find work. So every young person has to find some way of working. They can't afford not to work. And there's a lot of informal work in the economy, up to 80% of informal workers in rural areas. There's also an unemployment rate of 16%. And what I wanted to say is that one of the challenges here is education. A lot of young people don't have the skills that they need to find decent work. And so what we have done is at the beginning of the month, we organized a small survey in 14 countries of the region to find out what was the situation with young people and the SSE. What we discovered was very interesting. As you have already seen, there are different themes which are of interest to young people and on which they are working. And the young generations are very interested in the environment. That's one of the key themes that young people are working on most. Also on social innovation with close to 40%, and art and culture, which are a focus for these youth networks. Another thing we see at regional level is that among young people, 36, almost 40% are engaged in training or learning activities in their organizations. And what we can see also is among these young people, also more than half are aware that their country has policies in favor of young people and their education and the SSE, and over 30% of these young people do not know if there are laws in their country on the subject of SSE. So we're going to look now at the challenges we are facing. We're facing many challenges in our region. And one of these challenges we will be talking about quickly is that 75% of these young people in these 14 countries believe that one of the main challenges to the SSE regards the financing for capacity building. 68% think there should be public policies on these subjects, but which are not sufficiently clear. What's also interesting is that half of them believe that young people do not know how to set up SSE projects. They don't have the training, they don't have the knowledge on the social and solidarity economy and how to undertake this sort of work. And 13% say that there is no dissemination, no communication about what young people are doing in the SSE. People aren't aware. It's very difficult to get information about what young people are doing in this area. Another very interesting thing is that almost half of the networks of young people, which we surveyed in Latin America, say that they want to take part in the SSE, but don't know if this sort of projects are enough to earn their living or whether it's always going to be voluntary work. So they have a lot of uncertainties. Economic uncertainties. They would like to have some way of earning their living, and 21% in the region believe that there's also a challenge in gaining access to technology, because especially today we can use technologies to connect to internet, but there are many areas in Latin America where it's not possible. There's also a lot of bureaucratic obstacles to creating SSE institutions, and 7% also think it's difficult to establish contacts and collaboration networks in the region. Now we're going to see other things before the action. So we have 11% of young people who state that there should be specific legislation on the participation of young people in their countries. And also a very important thing is that, for example, there was a survey in February this year among all the different people in Ecuador, and only 15% of those involved in SSE are between 18 and 29. This means that we have a social and solidarity economy where the majority of the stakeholders are not young people in the SSE. So we have a big generation gap, and we really need to get these young people to take part so that they can really take their place in society. And one of the main things we've been doing with the team working on the survey with me is that we don't have a portal or a web page or something that could enable us to provide all the information about what's going on with young people, information that could be updated with all the latest data. That's a key challenge, to disseminate that data. We do have activities, and in some countries, but we know it's important. Sometimes but we know that there are activities, but we're not aware of them. We don't know how many young people are taking part in SSE activities. So sharing data is very important, and having a web page or portal where people can find information. So there are also some initiatives, and everything that we have seen. And also the social economy generally, quite aside from the challenges, is to know where young people are there are a lot of young people in school. So how can we include them in studies? How can we share with them the concepts of the SSE? And it's important for us in our region that there should be education in classrooms on the subject. And the final point is that we'll also be stressing that there is no accreditation, no official term, but in Latin America, we talk about popular economy, circular economy, revolutionary economy. So there are lots of concepts, but the social economy isn't a concept which is always recognized, acknowledged, and communicated about. So we have to find a way of doing that if we want to find the mechanisms so that young people, whatever the terms we do use, should be familiar with the values and the importance of the social and solidarity economy, because young people can play their part in changing our times, our society. And this isn't something new, but in many countries, there is no legislation or public policy based on these themes. And ultimately, it is very important. There is a lot of mobilization in our regions on social development issues, but it's as if we're not managing to see how to communicate about this sufficiently, and we need to find the mechanisms and tools really to work on the SSE at that level, and that obviously is something we're going to have to develop. And finally, here, you have some examples, which I'll mention just very quickly. Examples from the countries that we selected. So some examples from among the 14 countries where there is action being taken, where there are good practices. There's Mexico, for example, where we have supported a whole series of programs in favor of young people. So, and with academic organizations, with young people also taking part, and SSE organizations. And here we are creating a hub to see what challenges there are in the different regions and to propose local solutions with young people. Ode has already mentioned, there's also in Mexico, there is a youth declaration, and we've organized different meetings, and we also have there's SSE networks in Brazil as well, and in Colombia. And these are initiatives which have favored the inclusion of young people to drive their involvement. And this really is a way to try to drive what's happening in the SSE. And there are also the young cooperatives in Costa Rica. Costa Rica is a very interesting example because with all the young people of the country, so there is this trend towards youth participation to promote the work in common together and through networks. There are different projects in Costa Rica where young people from the countryside are working to provide baskets of food products. And we also have a project in Nicaragua, which is very important, which is called Inicia, where we are also working thanks to a network of exchanges with universities to include the social and solidarity economy. And also I wanted to mention, so of the 14 countries, there is no country where we can find all of the different projects, but I think that this network that we are launching today really is a great opportunity to be able to do that, to get everyone together to communicate. And to finish, I would like to say that since Mexico took over as co-president at the GSEF, we really laud this effort made to launch this network, and we think it's essential to generate cooperation and to get everybody really to work to make proposals, to bring proposals to Bordeaux in 2025, to share our experiences, and to focus on young people today really is essential. It's something that's important for everybody, and we really do applaud this. And I was just reading in the chat at the same time, and we have many young people from different countries and regions, and we're going to work together. And we're all involved in this, and this is the first time that we're really doing this internationally. And we'd like to laud the efforts of all the people who have made the launch of this network possible. And thank you very much to the different regions. And we can't do anything for young people if we don't actually include them in the process. Thank you very much. Thank you. Over to you. Hello, everybody. I am based in Côte d'Ivoire, Ivory Coast, president of the APOJET, which is managing the Youth Hub for Africa. Today, I would like to talk to you about our different activities. In the activities, for the activities of the Youth Hub, as Bérénice said earlier, we have 3 focuses, which include advocacy, support, and awareness raising. And so these 3 focuses are important for us, really must guide the structuring of a continental strategy. And for that strategy, we have tried to include the 3 pillars in our activities. The Young Leaders Forum on the Social and Solidarity Economy. For this activity, the aim is to conduct advocacy on the role of young people, with young people being active stakeholders in this and also the target of the process. So a first edition was held in Ivory Coast in 2021. And after the success of that first edition, we have always also wanted to work on advocacy with the GSEF. And after the activities in Dakar in 2023, we were appointed to manage this youth hub. So for us, it's important really to sort of at continental level, what we need to say is that the creation of such a forum for the SSE and for young people is important. 70% of the population in Africa is under 30, and so it's a genuine opportunity to boost the existing initiatives and to make use of innovative solutions to the social and economic challenges we're facing. So for this edition, which will be held from the 29th through to the 31st of October 2024 in Yamoussoukro, the forum will be on cooperative entrepreneurship and social innovation, which policies for sustainable integration of young people in local territories. And of course, in addition to this activity, after we will send you a concept memo on the forum, and within the framework of this activity, so in advance of the event, we can now move on to slide 2. So in preparation for this, we're going to organize a survey, a diagnosis, to have an assessment of the SSE and young people. So an assessment of youth and SSE policies in African countries, specifically in those countries where the GSEF focal points are based. And so just for your information, we had an activity in Dakar at the forum in 2023, which was the caravan, which brought together a certain number of countries from West Africa. And we identified some 10 countries where this hub and network can be built, can be created. So these young people from West and Central Africa have been chosen as focal points for this youth network, and we're continuing to work with them post-Dakar. And it's very interesting also to see how this diagnosis can be used in these different countries with a particular focus on initiatives seeking to promote cooperative entrepreneurship and social innovation with local, national, or continental initiatives. So it's a genuine opportunity to structure our advocacy efforts, because the forum, before this forum, we want to have a certain amount of information on which to base ourselves, and to see what organizations there are for young people, what are the policies implemented in local territories and at state level, and see what financing exists or does not exist for young people. Because there are occasionally certain SSE projects which can be financed, but it's important to know about this, so to know what the policies are for young people, and these policies linked with the SSE. And ultimately, the aim is to make recommendations, and halfway through this diagnosis at this forum in October, we'll be presenting the results, and those results will also contribute to the work conducted for the forum in Bordeaux in 2025. And I wanted to point that out because the objective for us is to be able to organize this advocacy effort worldwide. And for this, well before Bordeaux, to have this possibility, this structure that exists in Africa to bring young people together and to express their voice for other young people. So that's what I can say about advocacy. And in the end of this process, there will be a document, a guide that will be shared through different embassies and through other partners, financial and technical. And for the next slide, and so still regarding these activities, so well before the forum I was talking about earlier, we chose to put out a call for projects with an activity, an interesting activity, and this call for projects, the idea is to be able so the idea of the call for projects for us is to be able to develop projects and with young people, and we need to have a certain amount of data. So this call for projects, which will be starting on the 14th of April and which will be closing on the 15th of May 2025 at midnight. The aim of this is, so we've identified the different countries, Côte d'Ivoire, Mauritania, Togo, Morocco, and many others, where this a call for projects will be published, 13 or 14 countries, and that will be put out in the different countries to collect the best projects. So these youth initiative projects which we've called Youth Initiatives. So it's a call for projects for young stakeholders in the SSE to promote entrepreneurial, innovative initiatives by young people in the SSE. It targets all entrepreneurship, cooperative, inclusive projects which have existed for less than 3 years. And the project teams and cooperatives must be inclusive, must be made up of at least 5 members, with young people between 15 and 40 years. Why did we choose the age of 40? Is also respect the realities of Africa. And in Africa, it's true that in most countries, people are considered young up to the age of 35. But there are some countries also where there are conflicts, where young people have missed out on opportunities. And so it's important that we should be able to extend the scope of this, and that isn't a choice by us, it's a choice by the Ministry for Youth, which guides youth strategy and policy in the country. And they wanted not only to leave the age, they wanted to push the upper age for these youth programs up to 40. And therefore, we were required to comply with this principle and this vision of the Ministry for Youth. So it goes up to the age of 40 for participants. They are young adults and they can also benefit from these activities. And so for the call for projects, we have 40% of these young people must be young women. That's also a rule that we have tried to establish in this call for projects, to have an approach that takes account of gender. And of course, the projects selected in the call for projects will also be able to take part in the Forum for Young Leaders and also the World Forum in Bordeaux in 2025. And because the best projects that we worked with from 2021 had the opportunity to take part at the World Forum in Dakar. And in Dakar, they were present on our stand. And this enabled these young people to be able to present their know-how and also to find new partners and new business opportunities. And so the aim is to continue with this process and enable these young project leaders and these young cooperative inclusive companies to benefit from these opportunities. And to conclude, in this call for projects, I would also like to point out that the project leaders must also receive tailored support, which is why I was talking earlier about encouraging these different projects. And in the different countries where the Youth Hub has focal points, we're developing our support services that we provide. And through this forum and this call for projects, it's a way also of identifying these projects in the different countries and seeing how, through the GSEF and through the Youth Hub, we can operationalize support. And I also wanted to mention that to be able to conclude. And so thank you very much. And I'm sure the other colleagues will have the opportunity to present their other initiatives on the different continents. But for us in Africa, we really wanted to move on to the operational phase to provide support, to conduct advocacy. And so it's through these activities that I've just presented that we're doing this. And we are also open to the different possible partnerships or collaboration efforts, and would be delighted to receive delegations from Latin America or North America or from Europe or elsewhere in Africa, all the partners present here. And at the end of this activity, we will also be able to continue our discussions to see how we can work together in Africa on advocacy, but also on awareness raising and support of these different projects led by social entrepreneurs who are young.
Well, thank you for giving us that overview of the dynamic of the young leaders in SSE in Africa. I think in Yamoussoukro, there will be an event in October, the end of October. Now, we're now going to listen to North America. Alexandrine, well, thank you, and everybody, first and foremost. Thanks to all of the others who've already spoken and showing that all of the initiatives that are underway at the moment across the planet. And I would like to represent the AJ Chantier in Quebec. And it's a little bit different, in fact, the way things are done elsewhere in the world, because SSE is already part of our legislative framework. And we have a law which is called the SSE law, which in fact creates a framework for all the initiatives that are undertaken, and therefore all of the companies in Quebec are already embarked on this process. And I would like to represent the AG Chantier in SSE, and our role is to be able to mobilize young people for SSE initiatives across the wide Quebec. So what I'm going to present today is the model that we've developed in Quebec, and that we would like to, and that we hope can provide inspiration for and food for thought for other operators worldwide. And this is a model that has certainly gained ground in Quebec. And so we will show you with this now. It's a long-term view, in fact, which is not only for Quebec, but we hope that it can percolate, disseminate worldwide. And so we've got first of all, we've tried to gain the opinions of young Quebec people with a survey which is called World Cafe. And then we tried to ensure representation of young people in each working group at the SSE Summit. So creating a sort of a cross-cutting transversal presence. And so then the third stage was to consolidate young people's networks in order to be able to conduct initiatives with bilateral meetings with economic and political stakeholders. And at the moment, we're trying to show what the perspectives for young people are and the role that they can play throughout Quebec. And then, therefore, as I was saying, consolidating these networks, because in Northern America, we have this framework, but we consider this is part of civil society, but also the challenges of SSE in Quebec have a wider reach throughout North America. And so we're trying to bring people together, and therefore and therefore we can hope that then the powers that be can take these initiatives on board to drive the cause of SSE forward. So just to give you a few examples of the way this works. Here are some activities that we've already undertaken in Quebec. You've got the World Cafe. In fact, this is an initiative which shows the perspectives for young people and SSE initiatives. And first themes such as food supply, accommodation, and it's not only a theme that, of course, is important in Quebec, but it's a worldwide theme. And social justice is another one. That the territorial identity of young people, of people and the First Nations people as well. So a whole range of issues then that we've conducted and explored in Quebec, and seeing how these themes relate to emerging issues in SSE. And the next step will be we'll be able to take this innovative model, and we hope that it can sort of be disseminated out to other stakeholders in the wider sense, so that political decisions can be taken as a result of these initiatives. We've sent open letters, for example, to a number of social and political stakeholders in Quebec in order to raise awareness about these issues and the issues that have been brought to the fore by young people in Quebec, so that the Quebec government can take action upon these initiatives. So that we're trying to bring all these communities together so that the perspective of young people can be really looked at 360 degrees, and so we can create partnerships with organization, for example, as I was saying, the First Nations, the organizations of the First Nations people in Canada. So, you know, how that we can really basically do things differently in a new way for young people. And again, also, this is another more sort of committed view, in fact, regarding public policy. We have this upcoming colloquium, which will be held on the 9th of May this year at the University of Montreal, and it concerns accommodation and social justice, where young people will be speaking at this colloquium and will be raising a number of issues which are closely related to the issues that will be discussed at the colloquium. So we're going to see what the impact can be as a result of these initiatives. Here again, we're trying to develop acts of advocacy in the public sphere, where we've basically taken stock of a number of issues in the social economy and related to the multiple crises that we're facing in society today, and also to the situation of the unemployment situation. And so we're going to try to see how young people can have an impact on these issues. And in Quebec, the youth networks are very, very closely related to the National Assembly. So we've been able to in fact, gain a lot of traction through our acts of advocacy at a provincial level in Quebec. And that has led also to other acts of traction, acts of advocacy at national level in Ottawa. And so we're going to try, and so our objectives try to accompany these different communities within Northern America to be able to develop contacts throughout North America, so that these acts of advocacy can, in fact, achieve their goal. Next slide. So how can we can translate this into practice, in fact, in North America? Well, there are two aspects which are very, very important here, and I think will be very important in the coming years. We need to be able to, first of all, organize and sort of upstream thinking, where we bring together all the different groups of young people, and so that we can establish acts of advocacy at continental level. And we can see that in 2024 in Montreal, we will have the Young World One Summit, where this is a continental-wide summit that this could provide inspiration for a summit at world level, because we'll have all of the stakeholders present at this summit, and we'll be able to see how SSE can be a driving force to find solutions for all the major crises that we're facing at the moment, and the crises that young people will be faced with in the coming years. And so I mean, this comes back to the crises and the issues I was talking about that we've already talked about and worked on in depth in Quebec, seeing what the emergence can be of new solutions at local, provincial, and national level, ultimately international level. Unfortunately, at the moment, we haven't achieved the results we'd like to have achieved, but we are working on this. Thank you, Alexandrine. Without further ado, we're going to move to Europe and Aude Prévost. For Europe, Aude, you have the floor. My name is Aude Prévost. I work in the Nouvelle-Aquitaine regional government, and as Marie-Laure was saying earlier on, we are president of the GSEF, or the European continent, and hence our presence today. I work in the SSE department, and so I'm really focused on SSE issues. But we certainly have a very committed public policy regarding the furthering the cause of SSE. We are promoting these issues. In 2024, we worked with a number of colleagues on producing a document regarding young people, because we consider this is very, very important for our regional governments such as ours to produce this documentation. So we've established a sort of a political road to be able to raise awareness about these issues. The documentation is destined for young people. So we've signed partnerships with the academic authorities, with a number of other social organizations regarding awareness raising about the importance of SSE initiatives. We are also accompanying a number of concrete projects in the field, for example, educational cooperatives. And so we're creating regional and national initiatives to be able to mobilize young people around the issues pertaining to SSE. And just to give you a last example, we've established a project which is called Connect SSE. And some of you who are online will know about this project already. But if you don't know it, go and have a look. It's online. Here you can see it now. Thomas has just put that up in the chat, and the link there. And so you can see this is a different way of looking things. And I think Martin will show you this on the next slide. Just a few words about the continental context, in fact, about young people and SSE. We have a few key figures here. Europe at the moment it has about 2.8 million social economy entities, employing 13.6 million people and providing a number of solutions to the main challenges in our societies. The regulatory framework is quite favorable because the Euro Commission established an action plan for SSE in 2021. In 2022, it was a special action plan for young people. So we have this has led to a lot of potential employment. We've also worked on the circular economy, the changing climate issues, and so there's an enormous amount of potentiality here for new projects to be implemented, and we're seeing more and more training courses, for example, being established throughout Europe, and there's also the question of the mobility of young people. For example, we have the OFAGE. We also have the Erasmus Plus program in the European Union, where students can study in other countries. So there's an enormous potential for student and young people's mobility. So going to learn, going beyond your own frontiers, going to learn new cultures, new languages, is also provides important food for thought for young people. We've also established a number of local and national networks which are working to raise awareness of these issues regarding SSE. And also, I've shown you one here. There's the Forum Européen de la Jeunesse. This is just one such network, but there are several others. I'm going to be very, very short and to the point because I know time is of the utmost importance here. But the SSE is contributing to the establishment of the major ODD objectives that were established in the United Nations resolution of the 18th of April 2023. It's absolutely essential to promote, to raise awareness of young people regarding these issues. SSE must be perceived as a pathway to the future, which is a desirable pathway for young people. And I will stop there. Thank you for your attention, and I wish you a very, very good wedding. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, in fact, and because with the it's getting a bit late in Asia now, so we're going to listen to the contribution from Seoul for 4 minutes. So if you can, in fact, if you would like to open your camera, so that then we can have a family photo as is customary in these webinars, and at the same time, you will be able to listen to Lee Garam from the Seoul Youth Hub. She was present in Dakar, and I'm sure some of you met Lee at that time.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm Karam Lee from South Korea, and thanks to GSEF, and especially Bernice and Martin for giving this chance to share what's happening to the youth and SSE in Asia. So I know that it might be a very small piece for the whole story, but I hope that it can open up more diverse dialogue at the Youth Hub. So basically, as you might be already aware, that Asia is a very big, diverse continent. And also when we are talking about Northeast Asian countries, including Korea, Japan, China, or Taiwan, that would mark a very different story when we are talking about Southwest Asian countries. But still, what the young people are experiencing in Asian countries might have something in common with other regions, because we are all living in this globalized network society and economy. And basically, in Asian countries, like youth group are considered as vulnerable who might need some social support, and mainly it's related to the lack of decent job opportunity. So basically, like young people are getting higher education compared to their parents' generation, but the job opportunity at the current job market is not enough to embrace them all. So often it is related to the issues of lack of proper information and also social grounds for the youth to network with each other. And sometimes it is related to the high competition and the stress out because of the competition and increasing inequality. So in Chinese culture, like a new term, Tangping, has risen, and Tangping means a certain group of youth who decided not to in work, or like, so it basically means
Tenemos un problema con la traducción en español.
the need situation. And also, like in Japan and Korea, we are witnessing the increasing number of young people are just like hiding in their rooms or houses. So we call them hikikomori or isolated youth. So that's quite becoming an issue currently. But when we flip the story, that might means that so the young people are finding some kind of crack in this existing order, and we are witnessing that in like along with the role of social and solidarity economy, young entrepreneurs, especially young social entrepreneurs, are doing something different for the society and also within the community and society. So many young social entrepreneurs go local and they revisit the values of community and traditional culture, and they find business opportunities there. And we are also seeing some young people are providing support, peer-to-peer support for their like generation as well. And also when we are facing the societal challenges, including like climate change or also the digital transformation or AI impact things, then like those young people are willing to learn the new technology and new things, and they are willing to discover the value of this new phenomenon and link them to the social value. With these potentials, I'm really excited to open up this youth hub for the dynamic discourse, and I will support with my whole heart, of course. And I hope you can enjoy the conversation in this webinar as well. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't drop the sound. So you may have not heard the translation above the video, but you will have the three versions. Please rest assured, you will have the three versions. Sorry, we couldn't do that, but it was a technical issue. We had a problem with the sound. Now, technical point, in fact, because we've seen each continent now, and the objective is that we can all now break out into 5 rooms, so five continents. So we'll send that on the chat so that you can look at that. Please look at the chat now, but just let me briefly explain how that's going to work. I'll show what we're going to do. In fact, so this is so that you can contribute, and so we'll contribute on Mural. So I'll send you the link on the chat immediately now. So look at the chat. So if you click on this link, then it will ask you, first of all, if you want to enter as a visitor. So yes, so once you've done that, then you get to this page, and then you can zoom in on the continent of your choice. You can also add things regarding intercontinental cooperation. And at the end, you've got these little colored post-its. You can add things to those post-its, in fact. So please don't hesitate to contribute to those post-its, and then we'll gather everything together at the end. Thank you, Fabrice, and thanks to all of you. Well, I hope that you've all been able to exchange your opinions on the content in all of your contents. And the aim here, of course, was to be able to launch this dynamic regarding the Youth Hub, and to be able to structure things so that we can come together and create global active advocacy for driving the cause of SSE forward for young people. So we're very happy that the dynamic has now been launched today, thanks to our continental co-presidents. Now I'm going to hand over to Martin for the upcoming agenda. Thank you, Aude. So this is the common agenda for the main events that are coming up will precede Bordeaux October 2025. There are two major issues. That's the citizen consultation. It will be able to prepare our advocacy, and also there's the international webinar and how we can support the actions for mobility for young people. And so we've seen that each country has its own events upcoming, so we'll be able to share all that information on our site. At the moment, we're just getting to know each other, of course, but we will have more sort of deeper, intricate meetings. In fact, as time goes on, and so it's important that this dynamic. Well, Yamoussoukro will be coming up in October next, but there will be elections coming up at the end in Mexico at the end of the year. So it's important that in each country and each continent's agenda should be adapted accordingly until Bordeaux 2025, and so that we can all participate together. And we'll leave you also our contact information here. If you haven't added your information in the chat, please do it, your email, so that we can send out all pertinent information to you, and so you will get all the information about all the ongoing events and discussions that are underway continent by continent. So if you have any questions, so please don't hesitate to get in touch with us. And we had 130 people, in fact, present here. Some were coming in, some were leaving, but so we'd like to thank you, in fact, because it was for some people it's very early in the day, for others it's very late in the day, of course. So it's not always easy to get everybody worldwide onto the same meeting at the same time, of course. So we'd like to thank you for your participation, and we will be continuing to organize meetings and getting people together to really drive this course forward. Or do you want to say anything to wind up? Well, I think we can wind things up, everybody. So thanks for your participation. We are running a little bit late, but that's normal. That's the way things work out. But anyway, we'd like to again thank for your participation. It's launched this wonderful, rich dynamic for the upcoming stages. And we'll see you soon, everybody. Looking forward to seeing you soon, everybody. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.